Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make a fantastic Christmas dinner starter, a delicious shrimp bisque with a dollop of creme fraiche and fresh tarragon. And it is the perfect complement to kick off my Make Ahead Christmas menu, which is a super easy and festive menu where all of it can be made ahead of time and all you have to do is reheat and serve. To get the PDF of the menu, you can sign up for my newsletter. The link is in the description. And if you're already signed up, not to worry, the menu is in this Saturday's newsletter. All right, so let's begin. I am just using frozen shrimp because it is half the price as regular shrimp and it tastes just as good for something like this. Just make sure it says easy peel because that will mean that the backs of the shrimp have been scored, which just makes the peel a lot easier to take off. You want to save those peels because this is going to add great flavor to our broth that we are going to make in a second. And then you can cut your shrimp into bite-sized pieces. I would also cover this and refrigerate it while you prepare the broth. So you first want to heat a Dutch oven on medium-high heat. To that, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. Then once your butter is nice and foamy, you're going to add your shrimp shells. And I would also add any water that has collected in the bowl because again, that's just great flavor. And then we're just gonna cook these shells in the butter until they turn a really nice, lovely pink like they're doing right now. Takes just a second. And this is going to flavor our broth with a delicious shrimpy flavor. All right, now you could do the same thing with lobster. If you wanted to use lobster instead, I would just do the same thing. Just start cooking those shells and separate the meat. Once the shells are nice and pink, then you can add your water. And I like to use the water over something like vegetable broth because then you're getting the pure shrimp flavor. If you started to add a lot of vegetable broth in there, it's going to sort of dilute the fish flavor, which I think is nice. So we're just gonna use water. And then we're gonna add some herbs. So I have about 6 to 7 sprigs of fresh thyme, 2 bay leaves. You can use fresh or dried. I'm just using fresh because I have them in the yard. A teaspoon of whole peppercorns and a teaspoon of dried thyme. Then keeping this on a medium-high flame, you're going to put your lid on and let this simmer for at least 10 minutes. Now we are going to strain this stock. So once it's been simmering for 10 minutes, you can remove the lid. Ooh, look at that. It already smells divine. All those herbs and the shrimp, it's just so delicious. Then you want to get a large bowl and a strainer. So if your bowl has a little spout on it like this, that's actually pretty great because we're going to pour it back into the pot eventually. If not, it's not a big deal. I got mine in IKEA a few years ago for like $9. Total bargain. Okay, then we're going to take our Dutch oven here and just pour everything through the sieve. Look at all of that. Then you want to take a wooden spoon and just press all the solids through the sieve, you'll see, and you'll get even more of the liquid extracting. Waste not, want not, right? Then you can discard the solids. We don't need this anymore. And you will see a beautiful and delicious shrimp broth has formed. So you can set this aside just for a minute. We're going to come back to it. Now for our vegetables. So in a cleaned out stock pot, you're going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. Now, this might seem like a lot of work. I wouldn't say any of it's hard. It takes a few steps, but it's so worth the effort because the flavor you get with homemade shrimp bisque is like none other. Then we are going to add a cup of diced red onion. I like the red onion because I think it adds a really nice sweetness to the bisque. Then we're also going to add half a cup of diced carrot and a 1/4 cup of diced celery. This is another reason why I love pairing this with the Make Ahead Christmas menu because so much of it can be done in advance and it's not as stressful. Once those are in, then you want to add 2 cloves of garlic that have just been sliced. And then you want to season just to taste with salt and pepper. And then once the vegetables start to become fragrant, you can turn off the flame. And I'm doing this because this is really a safety feature. Anytime you're adding alcohol to something that's simmering, if you have an open flame and we're going to be adding some brandy and that brandy drips and catches that flame, it's not going to be good. So I always just make a habit of turning the flame off. So I'm using some French Brandy. I like this Saint Remy brand, but you really could use any brand you like. If you don't have brandy, you could also use a half a cup of just a dry white wine. If you don't drink and you want to leave the alcohol out, you totally can. It just adds a little bit more flavor. All right, so the brandy is going in. There we go, half a cup. Now, if you need the metric measurements, all of that is in the description, or you can head to my blog and print it out. I give you both. This is the other exciting thing about the cookbook that I'm working on. Yay! Special thanks to all of you that gave me so many sweet messages a few weeks ago when I announced it. Summer 2025, I know it's a long way away, but not when you consider everything I have to do. And one of those things is translating all the recipes into both imperial and metric measurements so that everybody internationally can follow along. So it will be available internationally. And as we get closer, I will give you special links that will allow you to buy it online in your country. Then we're gonna let this simmer just until half the brandy has evaporated. Okay, this is looking good. And at this point, we're gonna go back to our reserve stock and we're going to add that in. This is why the little spout helps. And you also want to add a 1/4 cup of tomato paste. I have tried this a few ways and I'm convinced that the tomato paste that comes in the tube is much tastier. It's much sweeter, it's not as acidic, and for something as delicate as the shrimp, we want really sweet tomato paste. So go ahead and get yourself a little tube of it. I just think it works better. Then go ahead and put the lid on and let this simmer for 5 minutes. The idea is to get those vegetables nice and soft and tender so that when we blend it up in the blender, it'll be nice and pureed and you won't have any chunks. Then we want to transfer our mixture into our blender. You don't have to go through all this the day of. You can totally do it the day before. You could do it everything up until the blending, and then you want to clean out the pot again. I know it's 3 times with the pot cleaning, but it does make a difference. You just want to keep starting with these clean pots so you don't build up any residue. All right, so you just want to blend this up on high until it's nice and pureed. Now you can see how beautiful and smooth it is. Before we put our shrimp in, we want to make sure that our bisque is nice and hot because as soon as that shrimp goes in, we want it to cook. We don't want to throw the shrimp in, let it cook, and then jack up the heat to get the soup nice and hot to serve because that will overcook the shrimp. And there is nothing worse than overcooked shrimp. It's really rubbery and it won't be good. So my soup is nice and hot. In goes the shrimp. Any liquid that's at the bottom of the bowl, that can also go in. And then just give it a stir. I would say 1 to 2 minutes is probably all it's gonna take. You'll see it'll start to get nice and pink, and that's how you know it's done. The other thing I like to do at this stage is just taste it for seasoning. So it should be pretty good because we seasoned all the way through, but let's just see. Oh, that's so delicious. It's so good. You taste the sweetness of the brandy and the sweetness of the shrimp and those vegetables. Delicious. Okay. I don't want to overwhelm people with a very heavy starter. So I usually just use a shallow bowl like this because it allows for really pretty presentation, and also you only need like a ladle, maybe a ladle and a half to fill it up. So this recipe will serve 6 if you're using a nice shallow bowl like this. So I usually like to do 1 full ladle like that, making sure there's enough shrimp. So you want to kind of mound the shrimp like that. You'll see why in a minute. And then maybe another 3/4, half, 3/4, there we go. Here is the yummy presentation that you're gonna do. A little dollop of creme fraiche. You could also use sour cream. I like the creme fraiche because I think it's just a little bit more delicate, not as sour, which I think works well with the shrimp. Then we're gonna touch it with a little bit of cayenne. I do it at the end instead of putting it in the soup. That way, if someone doesn't like the spice, you can leave it off. And then I also think it's quite delicious and pretty to add a little bit of just freshly torn tarragon leaves. It's a really great combination with the shrimp. And there you have it, a delicious, elegant starter for Christmas or for New Year's Eve. I hope you guys give this one a try and let me know what you think. And be sure to download my Make Ahead Christmas menu if you're looking for the easy button this year. Delicious recipes that all can be made ahead. All right, you guys, I'll see you back here next time. Until then, bye.